LVYC Life Pivot, another raw and uncut episode of a pivotal journey all the way from Russia. We have an entrepreneur, Natalie, and I want her to express herself, express her life pivotal journey, and what does that consist of? Because sometimes people hear the term pivot and they don't know exactly what it means, and I think it's different from other people. So I want you to explain to the crowd and everybody watching, what does that mean to you?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me. Really appreciate it. And I think I'm the best candidate for this podcast today about life pivot. But first of all, let me just maybe a little bit share about my background.
I like that.
So that's where the story began.
Yeah.
I'm from a very simple family. My mom is elementary teacher. My dad is mechanic. And
Standard.
Discipline, very disciplined. Since my mom was my first teacher, you know what it means. Like, she was very strict at that time. And I haven't seen them in 7 years.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, I'm getting very emotional with this part, because it's like, that's super hard.
And is that by choice that you haven't seen them, or by hardship, or just like your journey from you pivoting there? Explain to the followers, I think there's a lot of women, like yourself, coming from the same, I call it a pilgriming
Right.
journey, because I did the same coming from Jamaica to America.
Right.
So I think it's important to break down the details of, what inspired you to come here, because you could have went to another country, you could have been an influencer in Dubai, turning up, you could have been in Miami, you could have been in New York. Why did
Right.
you decide to pilgrim and pivot your life to Los Angeles, California?
Okay, let me ask you first. Have you ever had this feeling when you used to live over there in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Have you ever had this feeling when you don't belong to this place?
Yes. Feeling like an outsider, or when it took me time to get used to it. They used to call me Banana Boat. I had a strong accent. Yo, why are you wearing those cheap shoes from Walmart? So that, at 5 years old, I felt it, and it gave me tough skin.
So you understand what
Yes.
I'm talking about. So I'm from very small village, where you can find cows on the
Wow.
road. Or
How much, do
ducks
you remember
or
how much the
chicken.
population was?
I don't remember exactly, but this is a good question. So I'm from very small village, and I love my village, because that's the place where I was born. But at that time, I always had this feeling that I don't belong to this place. I don't know, maybe it's bad, but maybe somebody experienced the same I was experiencing. But there was a strong feeling that I don't belong to this place and I have to move on.
What age do you say that you got in tune with that inner feeling?
It was probably at 14. It
Wow.
wasn't in high school already that time, and there was such a strong feeling that, forced me to move to city.
So growing into a teenager as you're developing.
I was graduated from university as a movie actor,
Oh wow.
but I didn't work even a single day. I went to TV. So probably in a couple of years I became a news TV anchor and reporter.
Oh wow. And how quick was that? From 14 to what age?
Probably 20, 21.
Wow. So
and
then
I
at
became
14 to 20, so that 6-year period.
So I was probably the youngest news TV anchor
Wow.
in my city. So, but
Because it was such a small town.
it was a small town, but when I moved to another city, that was a pretty big town.
Yeah.
So I was working as a news TV anchor and reporter, and I love this job. So that's why before I started today, I
Yeah.
told you thank you so much.
No, I remember you had
inviting
the
me, because
background.
I really miss this job.
Yeah. And what would you say, what was one of the strongest feelings that made you happy at that job, or that direction of what you were doing at the time?
There is a saying in Russian, have the same saying, find a job that you like and you will never work.
Facts.
So,
Especially if you have passion with it day to day.
So, you can work 24/7 and you don't feel tired because you like it.
So did you feel that during
vibes,
that?
And joy
Yeah.
from what you're doing. So probably it was something like that.
Gotcha.
And I really loved it. But at the same time, it was still a feeling that I don't belong to this place.
Wow.
See,
So even through
how is it going?
somewhat
Yeah.
day to day feeling happy, passionate, you still crave more. Was that TV? Was that the internet? What would you say you got that influence from? Because I experienced the same growing up.
Yeah, that time I can tell you that time the Instagram and all the social media wasn't that popular.
Yeah,
You know,
it was like
you can
MySpace probably back then.
inspirations videos,
Facebook.
something. No, we never had it that time. So it was probably like 15 years ago, something like that.
Wow.
No, it was just an inner feeling when you like try to escape the place where you live because you feel like you have potential or something, you have a
Probably
power,
too closed in.
and you feel tight in the place where you live.
Yeah.
So it was this type of feeling. And I remember the last moment I was sitting on the bench on my backyard and I was looking up to the sky and I saw an airplane going like across, you know. And I still remember I had this feeling like I'm gonna move on.
Wow.
I'm gonna go away. So I still remember it was probably like 12 years ago, but I still, you know,
Wow.
remember
Would
that.
you say that as you, because we call that like stargazing, where sometimes
Yes.
you get dreamy,
Yes.
inspiration, you manifest.
But there was kind of affirmation when
Wow.
you're not dreaming. It was it was strong desire, but at the same time it was like affirmation. I will do that, you know. So and then it was a certain circumstances which brought me here with my daughter. I was married that time, so I came over here with my daughter. Unfortunately, you know, my marriage just, you know, I
Didn't
divorced
work.
my husband.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a certain circumstances, and I was totally alone with my daughter over
Wow.
here.
So tell me about that pivot. What was the transition like that last 6 months? Because I remember I have a vivid memory. I remember my pivot from Jamaica at 5, starting kindergarten. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember at the end of the year, my mom said, "Hey, next year we're gonna be in USA. We're not gonna be here anymore." And I remember like climbing on an airplane. I remember waving, because back then in Jamaica, if you were like popular, my mom had 6 sisters, she was popular, some of the town came to like see everybody off, and it was like the most saddest thing. And I remember, you know, you walk on the runway, you climb up on the plane, you wave, and I think that experience, it was traumatizing, but in a good way. And I remember the whole experience. I remember everybody telling me, "Hey, don't come to America, take on these American traits, make your money, but keep your Jamaican values." And I remember like it was yesterday. So did you have that same impact, like the 6 months before you left? What was that like? Were you already married or you got married here?
I was already married that
Gotcha.
time.
So you and your husband.
One day I just was told we have to go.
Wow.
So it happened
From his
super-
decision.
Yes.
Wow, that was a big pivot.
That was like everything was super fast.
Wow.
But you going through this and you understand exactly that's your way where you belong, where you're supposed to be. So at that time I didn't even process
You
the
didn't think
information
about it, you were just on
because
go.
you know sometimes you come to the point life pivot. You come to the point when the life just give you all the circumstances and you just going on this narrow way, like
So
towards
you think that that's
somewhere.
the path, especially if you're with a significant
You're like
other.
floating, you know, you're floating.
Wow.
So there was that feeling that time, but the hardest part started when I, you know,
When you came.
Yeah, when
And
I
how
came
long,
here.
when you came, what was that first 6 months to a year like? How long did your marriage last? Did you guys break up immediately? Because there's a lot of like things involved with women now, statistics, there's postpartum depression, there's a lot of things. I'm a single parent. I experienced that with my daughter's mom. We were married, and as we moved and pivoted, we didn't pivot together. So I learned, like, oh, okay, when you exchange vows and the preacher says, hey, you have to be with this person through thick and thin, the second I felt like, oh, okay, well, this person is not my thick and thin, I didn't see the point of getting married. That's just my personal experience, but that's why I have this platform, because I want people to express their own experience.
this is super important what you're saying, and I absolutely agree 100%. But there is a thing like when you come to the United States of America, it's like always you reset, right?
Yes,
And
you have to start from scratch.
And sometimes your relationship or your marriage, it just doesn't survive because everybody
1000.
goes his or her own way.
1,000.
And you cannot blame anyone. It's just different. I used to work as a TV anchor, right? So I was very successful, I can say that.
Yeah.
And I came here and I became zero. So you have to start
See, that's a
life
pivot.
from
You see, you
scratch.
listening from TV anchor to coming to Los Angeles, one of the most expensive places per capita in the world. Yes, there's successful people, but it is one of the most aggressively hardest, tough tenacity, tough
That's
skin
true.
places to survive. People watch it. You guys think it's easy. You're watching these people in these movies, A-listers, B-listers, C-listers. You don't know what it takes, the tenacity of what they have to go through. Here you're hearing it raw from an immigrant that came here with zero, because I'm sure you separate, it's hard, you know, so how is that? Like,
All I can say,
how
yeah.
long actually, you know, did your marriage last? Like, you moved to LA, how long into it did you guys
So I would
separate?
say no beef for now.
Yeah.
We're pretty cool. So by probably after 1 year, I divorced him because I just realized I have to go a different way, you know.
You had to figure out your life. His
Yes.
path wasn't gonna make
That
it.
was the hardest part. Not gonna lie, because like again, I used to work as a TV anchor, and then I went to one retail store. I don't want to name it, and I was working as
I respect
an
that.
associate in the fitting room. So that was pretty hard.
So do you feel like
That was like my ego was
do you
so
think-
traumatized.
Did you feel like it was downgrading you going from a successful news anchor to having to work retail?
Exactly.
See, that's a pivot.
This is a reset. That's what I'm called, reset, your ego reset.
1,000.
And not everybody is able to overcome it, because that's really, traumatize your
See,
ego.
you heard that, people listening? She said she did an ego reset. She had to hit that reset button because it didn't make her feel good. That's the most self-care thing. I watch these people platforming talk about self-care. What does that consist of? Making pivotal decisions like that. Because I grew up in a Christian background where when we're going through difficulty, we call it trials and tribulations. So in my world, I felt like you went through the trials and tribulations, and that's what kind of makes you you. Because picture,
Right,
if
right.
you didn't decide to go through these trials and tribulations, you'd be a unhappy soccer mom. Is that safe
That's
to say?
true, 100%.
Not getting what you want out of life. So that's very important.
I think if you have a goal, and you're very strong person, and you're able to go through all these consistent problems and issues, and you have to deal with that, and you can
1,000%.
overcome it, you will reach your goal. Just set out the goal. I don't know, guys, if you ever face this problem when you I think you did, because America has a lot of immigrants, and then we come in and we zero over here. We start from the scratch, but if you ever felt this feeling, like you sweeping the floor at the store, and you just crying like that. You're crying because you feel so much pain that I'm getting emotional right now.
No, that's deep. That's deep.
And I
Trust in the process.
I still remember this feeling, again, working as a used to be anchor, and then you sweeping the floor at the store.
Have a drink of champagne for the pain. That's why I
Right.
drink champagne. Let's toast to
So,
life.
thank you so much.
Toast to life and
But,
excellence.
God is a power. I want to say that again. God is a power. When you have this
1,000.
belief inside
And true
you,
faith.
and you know that you will overcome it, and you will get a better days.
No, true faith. And from what
True
you're
faith.
explaining to me about when you become a keen listener about when you're in the backyard looking up to the stars, that's probably when your faith started, because you
Right.
never you never lost sight of that true feeling. So I believe if you're with a partner, those feelings should increase. Things should increase. You should want to grow together. You should want to grow further. So I feel personally like the second you don't feel those things with a partner, you've expired that relationship. That's probably what you were
So
feeling.
you have to end this relationship
Yes.
and just move on your own way.
That's very powerful.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think, I think there's a lot of people here because LA is a big city. There's a lot of immigrants here. So to all the immigrants listening with her similar background, it's possible. And you can't let mopping the floors, these discomfort. That's what made me start this platform, because I've had to pivot and pivot and pivot. But luckily, from the first time I pivoted, I learned that, okay, it's okay to make changes. If you believe in yourself, you have certain value.
You have a goal.
That's what makes you pivot. Because
Right.
if I didn't have certain goals, why would I want to pivot? I would just stay content. I'd probably
Exactly.
be in Miami, living the high life like everybody else, but to me it's like broke rich.
That's why some people, the whole life, they live in one house, in one country, in one city, and they don't want to change anything
At all.
in their life.
At all.
Because they're completely satisfied.
Yep.
They don't want anything, they're
Yep.
completely fine with what they have.
No, 1,000. So people watching, if you were that person that don't want to make changes, this platform probably isn't for you. So don't worry about subscribing. I don't need your evil eyes on what I'm doing. I'm very spiritual. This is for people that's trying to win, trying to go to the next level. You have a high level of emotional intelligence, high level of inspiration, and you want to get gems and relate to people with their raw, uncut stories, because this is a raw, uncut story. If I see you walking down the street, I wouldn't know half of this. I wouldn't think that, okay, this is the case. So I think this is a very important transition and life pivot, especially
Right.
being a mom, a single parent, entrepreneur, pivoting from career to career. 'Cause that's how we met. I've seen you for years. We never really talked. I didn't know if you spoke
That was
English.
like 4 years ago, or
Yes.
5 years ago, exactly.
Yes, I seen you. I didn't even know if you spoke English until the kids kind of connected one day, and I was like, okay, you're down to earth. You told me certain things. I was
By
like,
the way,
okay.
when we just started being friends, my English was so horrible that time.
Now remember.
Probably I was
Did that
learning
make
from
you-
you, by the way, because
Wow.
you're like native speaker for me.
Wow,
So
did that make you nervous, like lack of confidence? Because I know me coming up, they used to make fun of my accent and call me banana boat. And Jamaica, I just ran off a boat and I got 7 jobs like a Mexican person and all of this like racial stuff.
discrimination.
But that racial stuff gave me tough skin. Some of these actors, some of these comedians, they share similar stories. Kevin Hart, they said they used to make fun of him when he was young, how he dressed, how he talked. It gave him tough skin to be able to be open with people making fun of him. Michael Blackston, African guy, same thing. So when I see those similarities, I'm like, okay, they're an immigrant, they're coming from the same story. That like would boost my confidence. Once I learned to show up every day and wear that shit, that's when my life pivoted. Because New York was a very dangerous place. These kids, they'll make you want to get in a fight and get expelled in school. I had to write down what I wore every day. That's how I got into fashion. Because every day you had somebody watching you to say, oh, you wore that pink and black blouse last week, you're poor, you don't have any money.
That's crazy, huh?
How crazy is that?
So cool.
That's what I went through. So when people
It's so very
when they
cool.
see me into fashion, they're like, oh, how did you get into fashion? 'Cause I don't want to be like everybody else. I always felt like it was traumatizing. I feel like I have eyes on me, like I just got rid of my car because everybody in this community has the same color. And it wears me out. So when I got it, it was exclusive. I'm like, okay, cool. Then when I drive out my house, I don't ever want to be a follower. So I'm like, it's not inspiring. It's actually depressing to somebody like me. That's so high level of inspiration. I woke up.
This made you tough, right?
Yes. So that's a pivot, and I think making it in LA is not easy. There's people making 6-7 figure incomes that are starving, that are living above their means. Every second you see Lamborghini, G-Wagon. These are $200,000-$300,000 cars. But what I don't see is the happiness that matches. I see everybody angry, like this driving, and I'm like, how is this wealth? This isn't wealth. So I'm actually proud of you to break those barriers as a single parent to get to where you're at now. Because after going through that, like, what was the next step? Like, okay, you guys separate, you're focused on your daughter. That's very hard to survive here in LA. That's why I've always been I try to create a support system with you because I'm a victim. I'm going through the same thing. I've been raising my daughter on my own. It's not easy. She's almost 9 years old, and I've been raising her on my own since she was like 18 months. Since one day her mom called one day and said, hey, I need some help. Can you watch her? And it went from, hey, can you watch her part-time to 7 years have passed.
Mm-hmm.
She's 9, going on 10. So I think we can relate to that. And I think that's a big pivot because my whole life changed. I went from being a sociable person to now a part of me starting this podcast, guys, is because I was forced to work remote. So, create another form of income to be able to take care of my daughter.
And I think you're doing pretty good.
I appreciate it. So, I think these stories.
So that was your journey, and mine started when I became single mom, and also I didn't speak English at all.
I remember.
That was the hardest part.
I remember.
When we met, I already started understanding something. I was able to tell something, to explain in simple words, but that time, probably 6 years ago.
Wow, it's hard.
7 years ago, when I just came to the United States, I did not speak English at all. So that was literally at all.
Wow.
So
See,
that was
a huge
literally,
pivot.
guys, I'm not exaggerating. So that was literally like my neighbors talk to me and she says like, girl, I just lost my job. And I go like, oh really? That's so cool. So that was really that bad.
Wow.
So I didn't even
and she's looking at
understand
you
that.
crazy.
Yes, exactly. That's why nobody wanted to be friends with me. I was suffering.
They're thinking you're standoffish, but that's what I figured when we would see you. We'd be like, hi, but we didn't know. We assumed that you didn't speak any English. And me and Alina have a funny joke where one time you took Vera to SeaWorld or something, and then you guys are sitting down, and then you said, my dinner, we're about to eat dinner. And it's the funniest thing to me, Alina, still to this day. And I didn't realize that your accent was so fresh. So I was like, are she being sarcastic? But I thought about it, no, her accent is still fresh because you said, we're
That's
so
crazy.
excited to sit
I
down
didn't hear this story.
and eat my dinner.
That's crazy.
And I was like, if you had a big following, it would have went viral. It was a funny moment. But that's a part of the life, pivot to pivot through these things, because there's a big statistic with people that they end up failing just because they can't get over the hump. So there's a lot of people here. It's a Middle Eastern Russian community that, because it's all Armenian, everybody speaks Armenian, or everybody speaks Russian.
Right.
That's how New York is. I grew up this little Jamaica. When you hear where 50 Cent is from, the party we just went to, my aunt grew up in this neighborhood. Where 50 Cent is from my aunt's neighborhood. She's 90 years old. Used to wear a whole bunch of jewelry, ride the train, never been robbed. Real triple OG. She sat at her birthday like this. Everybody's like, yo, aren't you gonna smile and laugh? She's like, no, I'm happy. I lived 90 years. I survived Jamaica, Queens. It's like how Glendale is Little Armenia. That's how Queens is that my family is from. And she was the aunt that was at grandma's house that we would go to. So, I see 50 Cent's story. I'm like, you're tough, but how tough are you? How tough are you if my 90-year-old grand aunt made it through the same thing with jewelry, never getting robbed, robbing the train in some of the most grimiest neighborhoods? Her 50 Cent is from there, Nas, Nicki Minaj, all of these successful people. But what I learned that they have in common is they've all had to pivot and got tough skin through those neighborhoods. When you hear Cardi B, South Bronx, part of where I grew up in New York, South Bronx. French Montana, the guy was shot in his head. 50 Cent was shot 9 times on a Sunday in front of his grandma's house. So if that's not tenacity and willpower to make it in life of what you go through, I don't know what is. So when people see their success, it's like, no, these people have went through crazy life pivotal things over and over to make it where they're at. Because if you didn't have the inspiration to make it through 10% of your journey, you wouldn't be here sitting on the couch.
100%.
That's what I tell everybody listening.
100%. That's
what this platform is about. It's about raw and uncut, unfiltered life pivot stories that are supposed to be inspiring to people. So I love you being open and courageous. I know that it got a little emotional for you, but embrace it, because this is a platform for us to grow. And you're going to inspire some young Russian girl with your background to know, oh shit, I might be trying to do the same thing, going to New York, going to Dubai, going to make it in France. It's possible. But hey guys, this is what you might possibly have to go through. So choose wisely. So that's what I listen for. I listen to successful people. I listen to see, damn, can I withstand this? Can I deal with this? Like when I moved to LA, I'm like, oh shit, it's gonna be expensive, it's gonna be that. So the first thing I did, dumb down my lifestyle. Oh shit, instead of me getting a $4,000, $5,000 place a month, let me get a $2,000, $3,000 place a month. Oh shit, instead of me getting a Lambo that 5 years I might not be able to afford, let me get a low key car.
But it wasn't easy for you, right?
No, it wasn't, but that's because of me making these decisions. So I want to commend you for like just having the willpower, being open-minded, and just sticking to your plan, because that's a form of genius. And when I'm teaching my daughter that now, I'm like, what do you consider smart? I consider smart action, not, oh shit, I'm telling people I'm smart, because anybody that, oh shit, this guy was stupid, I'm going to show you, I'm going to tuck you in and show you that if you're sleeping on me, I'm going to tuck you in. That's been my concept as far as what fuels me. So I think now even your husband is probably like, damn, she didn't give up. He's probably like, hold up, what's going on? You know, him seeing you, I'm sure he's probably like,
some people, I guess, like
it's deep. It's
wanted
deep.
me to get back to Russia probably 7 years ago, but somehow, I don't know, I survived it. But the hardest part, I exactly agree with you. Always say about, spirit. The person should be spiritually strong to
yes.
overcome all these difficulties. For me, it was a language in the first place. Language and later on Russian accent. Strong Russian accent.
Yep. Yep, that can make or break you, because some doors might not open or close for you. So that's,
and a lot of people, and I don't want to say about all the people, but some people are so mean when they say like, oh, they didn't get what you're saying because you have a strong Russian accent. And I'm like, yes, I do. And I'm proud of that. That's my identity. That's who I am. I don't want to get rid of my Russian accent. And people don't know how difficult it's for Russian to get rid of Russian accent. When we literally have a tongue twisters, right?
Yes.
Tongue twisters like
Yes. Which is a part of your language, so for you to just revert over to something different.
This is the way we pronounce things, and English is very smooth, very nice language. So that's super hard in the first place. Get rid of this accent, and also what Russian accent you're talking about. If you want me to show Russian accent, this is a Russian accent, okay? I try my best, guys. I try to make it smooth so you will not have emotional damage.
Yeah. That's what I'm used to, that accent.
This is Russian accent.
Yes.
I try to adapt,
Yes,
so just be patient with me.
No, I respect it, and I think like you said earlier about finding fun in your journey and finding fun through difficulty, that's where you truly win. And I feel like that comes with a mindset and perspective. So thank God for you having a perspective, because if you didn't, every little thing that feels like discomfort would be a roadblock. Roadblock. So I learned for the best, but I'm open to the worst. So that's a part of like being a serial entrepreneur where like there's no roadblocks. Like my mindset, okay, if it doesn't work, oh shit, learning curve. That's what this journey has been. You told me you're going to start your digital journey, and I was like, I commend you, but be open-minded to it not working fast and learning curve. And so now I feel like I've invested into another currency, because it's not just about this platform, it's all digital things. And as the world is evolving, as long as we're going to be glued to these iPhones, this is a future. This is our kids' future. And for me, I've hustled many industries, cars, clothes, corporate, not corporate. Now I have to hustle the internet. That's what I'm doing, and I think as
adapting to this world,
yes,
right?
Adapting and pivoting. So that's where I'm at. Outside of just this platform is bigger than just a platform. I'm actually happy. This is therapeutic when I have these interviews, and I actually learn. I learn something from every guest. And if I don't see anything inspiring in people, I'm not going to have them on the platform. So today I'm actually happy to have you, and I think this is one of my most diverse interviews. Not just you being a pretty face, but the ingenuity of you being an immigrant and pilgriming your journey, and it being uplifting. So I definitely see we're going to have multiple other interviews, and I think this is just a start. So you guys watching, make sure y'all hit the subscribe button and follow, because we're going to have a lot of raw and uncut filtered episodes with these unique guests, and today was one of them. So I'm very like happy and ecstatic about what's to come, and I'm open to your concepts as well, because I'm sure you have a lot to talk about of what you've pivoted through to go through to make you here, because you've been here for years now, and LA is a tricky place. LA is actually Hollywood weird in real life. So next episode, I want you to drop some gems and tell people about what it looked like after your divorce. Now, life pivoting as a single parent, what does that look like? Because if we get into it, we're going to overwhelm these people. So I think it's raw, you know.
The hardest part of being a single mom, it's like the situation when your kid says, "Mom, why don't we have a family?" And I'm like, don't know what to say. I don't know what to say, because I try to explain to her that we have family, we have grandma, grandpa, we have a lot of friends over there in Russia, but here, since she grew up here in America, so we here like 7.5 years, so she was very small when we came over here. So for her, it's just her and I, so like us together, so it's a pretty small family. But sometimes she asks me, "Mom, why don't we have a family?" And it sounds so, I'm so heartbreaking, to be honest, because this is the hardest part. We have a lot of friends, we always go like out, so we're not staying at home. I hate staying at home, I'm very social, I need to be surrounded by good people, I like good vibes. We never stay home, but the thing is, anyway, like you're alone, you and your kid.
Same.
So
that's what I'm going through now, and that's why I'm happy that we created a support system for each other, because I don't know where she would be if she didn't have a support system. Because I grew up, my mom had 6 sisters, 1 brother, so our immediate family was pretty big. So that 90th birthday / family reunion we just went to, it was family from like 10 states. Like, that's how big and connected I am. I grew up, so when you see like Will Smith's story, he grew up in South Philly, that rapper Meek Mill's from there. We used to do summers in South Philly, Jersey, New York, Rhode Island, Boston, Connecticut, which all of that made me a chameleon. So now doing a 30, 40-year challenge with some of my family, some of my young cousins got kids. I saw a cousin that was like, "Yo, I remember you gave me a video game." So I'm pivoting and figuring that out, of like making my own family with my daughter and being open-minded to this new norm of, okay, like she's not going to grow up with a big intermediate family, and trying to strengthen her in other ways. So that's what I would say, because sometimes they say family gives you strength. So I've been cautious with who I consider friends, and certain qualities of what I was raised with that structured me. So that's what I try to like instill into her. So I think that's the advice that I'll give you, is the family upbringing that you did have an influence, you try to find that in people. So that's what I do. Or I tell you, like, I know 1,000 people, thousands of people, but I could count on 2 hands how much people day to day influence my life, or who I consider like close or close family. Or I'm one of those people, the people that I know, I'll talk to them for 2-3 years. I'll talk to them tomorrow. They know shit is 100. So that's what I'm trying to instill in my daughter, and I think you're doing a great job, and your daughter's gonna mimic and emulate you and everything that you're doing day to day. We don't realize it, because that's why I ask Selena every day. I'm like, either you're gonna be an A student and beat these books, or you're gonna beat your creativity. Obviously, the A student thing wasn't my path, and I've had to make this stuff work. And even tomorrow, if I give you my company, you're gonna have to have the willpower to make it work.
Right.
That's why wealthy families, they used to cut off the kids. I didn't understand it. The second they see the kids not performing, they cut them off. I'm gonna give you an example. Paris Hilton. Remember, she used to DJ, used to be a rapper. The parents, okay, go make your own millions of dollars. Once she couldn't make her own millions of dollars, what did she do? She had to convert back to leaving the rappers alone to get a straight edge white guy that matches her family's wealth. Because her lifestyle, $1 million or $2 million a year is nothing. She said, okay, I gotta go back to my wealthy family infrastructure and marry a straight edge guy. You know, and that's what wealthy families do. So if you're not coming from that, you gotta scrape and build and structure everything that you have. That's what made me self-made. The tenacity, never falling off, learning to pivot and be open-minded, because like you said, certain people's destinies are already set up. And I believe in that heavy, because I would say at 43, 70 to 80% of anything that I've ever dreamt of has came to fruition. Anything that I've ever dreamt from. Anything. So like even Alina, growing up, I grew up with like Cardi B's and like stuff like that. I could never bring home a girl like that. My mom had 6 sisters. You understand?
Oh, wow.
So that wasn't ever gonna happen. So I created my taste through that. So then I was like, hey, I want something exotic. Cars, I was never into American cars. No offense to people into American muscle, but that wasn't ever my thing.
And what's your type?
Exotic.
Exotic
Something
cars?
Unreachable.
How about cars? What type
Oh,
of
cars, my car is an Aston Martin. I'm like,
oh, wow.
I'm 250. Remember James Bond?
Of course.
So when you see me just regular car, people that know me, I was into cars at a very early age. I was like Vin Diesel with Gone in 60 Seconds and Fast and the Furious. So I kind of got the car stuff out of my system. Now the shit that I want is like 250,000. For the people that don't know what 250 is, I'm 250 short. And not saying I don't have it, I don't have a 10X. So when I have a 10X, then that's when I'll get my Aston Martin, you know, and enjoy it. Because a lot of people, most people, I say 80% of people drive around with these nice cars, really can't afford it, and they're stressed out. You have to worry about the car note, you don't really have it. So me learning that level, I learned like, okay, when I have an excess, then I'll go get my Aston Martin. That and a money green Porsche. That's it. That and probably an SUV for the family.
You'll get it 100%.
Yes.
I believe that.
Other than
I
that,
can tell that.
I'm pretty good.
Knowing your personality, yeah.
I appreciate it. So that's where I'm at, you know, as a man, and just trying to grow residuals, a little passive income, a little bit more comfy. So if I do decide to have another kid or extend my family, what I learned from being a single parent, what it takes and what type of finances it takes to do it and live comfy. So I embrace that, embrace the learning curve of, oh shit, I was scared. I was this young immigrant figuring it out. Do a 10-year challenge. Think about add 3 years to the 7 that you've been figuring out. What does that 10-year challenge look like? That's what I would manifest.
Have you ever been discouraged by others, like who didn't believe in you, for example?
Every day. I look at the internet, I want to tuck them in, I want to make them go to the top of a building and jump. I have people all over the world. That's what my brand did for me. Yes, I haven't made the money, but when they look online and they see, yo, this guy didn't die yet, he's a single parent, he's supposed to fall off. You get it? My life's supposed to be over. When me and her mom separated, like, nothing was working. Nothing. I guess she was like chasing my old life. I wanted a family, she wanted to go to the club and like be with cool people. I thought I had a life partner that I could do all this cool stuff with. That wasn't the case. And our energies didn't mix. And thank you, Angelica Johnson. You gave me a nice, beautiful daughter. But what a learning curve. So that's why you have to embrace, even when the shit don't work, because it weathers you for now. So then one of my older friends said, damn, what if your brand was in Bloomingdale's and you was paying $40K a month alimony? What if you would have been taller and your basketball career would have worked and you would have went to the league? You'd be paying $50,000 a month. So balance you having Alina versus $50,000 a month. What would you choose?
Of course, you know that. What would I choose?
So that's where I'm at, where I'm grateful, I'm happy, and thank you, God, for me keeping my faith and just keeping me going and sticking close to my vision. You know, same thing with you. Like you tell me your story, and I remember, I think about you in the backyard. Whatever you were visioning, that's what saved you. Some people don't even have that. Most people are mimicking what they see. That's what the social media is. That's why social Social media ruins relationships. The dopamine is affecting people. Depression.
People start like comparing
I'm
their
tunnel
life
vision.
with the life they see.
I'm never that whole.
The perfect picture.
Jamaica, there's a saying: don't be too watchy, because when you watchy, you block your money. Your money don't grow. That's like negative energy. Or even when I have it around me, and I got people that like gossip, and it's too much. It's mixy energy. So I learned to be protective, and there's a lot of stuff that my older family would explain that I didn't really understand. I think I got consciously aware at like 28 to 32. 28 to 32, my life like this. Then getting married, it not working. From
the
there,
same period for me.
yes,
20,
big growth,
32.
big growth. And then I thought about like, oh shit, what does 35, what does 40 look
It's
like?
like big transformation.
Yes.
Huge transformation.
And I've just always been ahead. So now at 43, I think about like, oh shit, at 50, how much money do I need to have coming in for me to live the life that I've lived and for me to be comfy? So that's where I'm at, and enjoying myself, connecting with people, still growing. I think if you've been doing the same thing for 10, 20 years, it's insanity. If you don't have nothing to show for it. So pat yourself on the back that you're here in one of the toughest cities, pivoting and making a name for yourself. And I think now that you open to this digital journey, you're going to reach higher heights. So
that was a long journey, like 7 years. But when I compare myself over there in my 29, when I just came, and I see myself now today where I'm at,
night and day.
I see the huge progress.
Yes, yes.
So I came here with a zero English, with a zero money, and after 5 years, I got a nursing license. I went to college. I was able to comprehend everything. That was
because
such
of those hardships.
That was such a
life
big
beating you down,
win.
opened you
That
up.
was a huge win for my personal win when I just realized I can't speak English. I can't speak your language. I understand everything what you guys talking about.
Wow.
That was wonderful for me.
It enlightened
I got
you.
my freedom back. I can say
Wow.
that because when you just come to America, like you're like baby crawling, because you don't talk, you don't know where to go, you don't have friends, you have nothing. And then when you like getting back everything,
You go to another level.
you know, American English. I went to college. I got my nursing license. Right now, I'm back to school, so I'm
Trying to grind
very
again.
soon. Yeah, I'm getting my license as a esthetician, so I'm planning to open businesses. So when I compare myself over there and myself now, and I see this progress, I'm just myself.
I love it. Thanks for watching another raw, uncut episode of beautiful Natalia. And listen, man, this was one for the books. Stay tuned. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. This is episode number 1 with her. We're going to have plenty more, so stay tuned. If you guys like what you're watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button and follow up with us. And feel free to share, engage, and if these stories relate to you, keep up with us. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching.